I started out my evening with a tasting of Potter's Special Old Canadian whiskey. That was just delicious. Then I had a Royal Brackla 16-year-old at 40% alcohol by volume, and it surprised me at how good it ended up being. The third whiskey of the night was a 15-year-old Lafroig 200th anniversary edition, which I enjoyed immensely. It was better than I thought it would be. The peat smoke was not overpowering. There was a bit of creosote on the nose, but it had a lot of lime and a lot of brine, and it was dry to the finish. Now I'm pouring myself another glass of water. This would be my fourth glass of water this evening, as I'm about to start my fourth dram. It is this one. This is one of those whiskeys that I have had before, but I did not make a video of. I think the last time I had a bottle of this was the summer of 2013. Yeah, almost 5 years ago. And this is a product of Alberta Distillers. It is Alberta Premium Dark Horse. It is 45, I believe it's 40, yes, 45% alcohol by volume and 750 milliliters. 90% of it is Canadian rye whiskey, and I mean rye, not corn that says rye on the label. It's pure rye. 90% of it is pure rye. 9% of it is American bourbon. It takes advantage of that 10% rule, whereas for a Canadian whiskey to remain a Canadian whiskey, it can have 90% of what it says it is, and it can have 10% of other spirits. The other spirits are, as I mentioned already, 9% American bourbon. Probably a Kentucky bourbon, I don't know which one. And 1% sherry. Now, I've had this before in the past, and I had my opinions about it, and now I'm finally going to do it on camera. I may have mentioned it already in, what do you call those things, comments, back in the day. Now let me figure out how to open this. I think I have found the tab. Yep, it's a vertical tab, and then there's these little pieces that go off the side. Okay, yeah, there we go. I got that part. It is a plastic cap with several stays that gotta go pop, and there they are. They've gone pop. This is a glass of water. This is a Glencairn. This is my fourth dram of the evening. And that is a healthy looking 53 milliliters. Maybe 56. I don't know. Something like that. It's what I call a healthy sized dram for me, but everyone's different. All right, here we go. Right away. You know, it almost doesn't smell like a rye or a straight rye. What does it say on the back while I allow this to open up? Raising the bar in Canadian whiskey. Dark Horse was crafted for the next generation of whiskey connoisseurs who are ready for a bolder, richer tasting Canadian whiskey. Expertly distilled using our finest Canadian prairie rye grain, Dark Horse is blended at a higher strength with a small pot distilled batch that has been aged in hand-picked charred oak barrels. The result is an ultra-smooth rye whiskey that imparts flavors of vanilla, smoke, sweet oak, and black currant. I remember tasting the black currant in it. But they don't say on the label that 9% of it is bourbon and 1% of it is sherry. But now that I'm nosing it, I'm getting black currant on the nose. And that's not just a suggestion, I'm really getting it. I'm not getting so much the rye. I'm not getting any dill, although I might be getting a little bit of menthol. The menthol is masked by bourbon notes. It's like a high rye bourbon almost. Black currant on the nose. Dark fruits, black currants, and vanilla, caramel. I wonder if the black currant comes from the sherry that's in there. Probably. But the ryeness is masked by all of this bourbon and fruit. It smells quite nice, actually. It does not smell like a Canadian whiskey, or not like a typical Canadian whiskey. Typical Canadian whiskey, you get right away the vanilla, you get right away the caramel, you get some hints of maple. But this has some of that fruitiness. And like I said, I've tried this before, but it's been about 4 years, maybe 5. It's been a while. I wasn't so keen on it then, but maybe now my tastes are more refined. Maybe now I know a little more about whiskey. I think it's time to go for the taste. Mm. Mm. I'm definitely getting black currants. Black currants. And I can almost taste the sherry. I can taste the sherry. It tastes like sherry. Even though it's only 1% of it is sherry, it is there. I'm not getting so much your classic bourbon notes that you would get out of a bourbon. Here's a bit on the nose. There's some of that caramel, some of that vanilla on the nose. I think my nose has switched sides from the right to the left. Yeah, I definitely am getting some of those bourbon notes, but they're not overpowering. It's not that sweet. And the Canadian rye, I know what the Canadian rye tastes like if you take the bourbon out and if you take the sherry out. Because I have here the Alberta Premium, which is basically the same juice at 40%, where this is at 45%, and 10% is 9% is bourbon, and 1% is sherry. If I can imagine this stuff at 45%, that's what this would taste like without the other ingredients put in. There, I said it. And all of that being said, the bourbon and the sherry that are in this add a couple of dimensions to it that would not be there without them. Actually, it's growing on me. Because you can imagine that bourbon and that sherry being a finish on this stuff. And I'm getting the bourbon and the sherry coating the sides of my mouth, whereas this wouldn't coat the mouth. This would just go down and taste wonderful and be nice. But the coating on the mouth that I'm getting is fruity and maybe a little more sweet than I would get from Alberta Premium, the regular Alberta Premium. When I first tried this 4 or 5 years ago, I didn't like the black currant element, but now I'm really, really enjoying it. Probably because since I've had this last time, my tastes have opened up to sherry and fruity whiskeys, which they weren't before. I used to like peat and ex-bourbon and the ex-bourbon barrel whiskeys, and that was it. But now I can appreciate this, which I couldn't before. 4 or 5 years ago, I used to just slam this down and go, okay, there's a buzz. But now I'm appreciating what went into making this. And that's part of the whiskey journey. You learn as you go. And when you try and taste different things, it brings back an appreciation for the things you tried before that you may have just discarded and said, meh, so what? But now I finally get this whiskey. Took me a while. I will drink this to your very good health.
Food Quig. Food quick.
Food quick.
Food quick.
Food quick.
Oh, damn it all. 4 drams in, and I forget to tell you how much this stuff costs. I happen to have the bill right here. It's itemized and stuff. It says Alberta Premium Dark Horse. Dark Ho. Okay. It says $29.41. With the taxes, it's $33.91. Plus the dime for the bottle deposits. So $34 out the door. $34. That's not a bad deal for 45% alcohol by volume Canadian whiskey with wonderful flavors. Not bad at all.